The Workforce Afternoon, Dave Lawrence with you, and my guest joining me now is a cat who has the distinction of being able to say he has worked with some of the biggest legends in music, from Albert Collins, T-Bone Walker, Etta James, John Mayall, Little Richard, John Lee Hooker. This is just to name some of them, and I'm not kidding. These are the guys, and he'll tell us a little more about it, as well as embarking on a 38-year journey with the band that we're proud to welcome, along with Vanilla Fudge and Big Brother and the Holding Company, for 3 big shows here in our state, and that's going to be in Kona at the Brewhouse Oasis, at the Brewing Company there, and then on Saturday in Maui at the Aloha Pavilion, Ritz-Carlton, Kapalua, and then Sunday, proud to be welcoming these guys to the Blaisdell here in town in Honolulu on Oahu, and tickets are on sale for that show now, Ticketmaster.com, and there at the box office. 105.9 The Big Kahuna, pleased to welcome to the airwaves Canned Heat drummer Fito de la Parra. Aloha, my brother.
Aloha, how are you doing?
Good to have you on board, man.
Good to be on board.
And
almost on board on my way to the island.
and I am on, and I am doing well myself, and appreciative to have some of your time here. How excited are you guys to come out and do these shows?
Yes, we are very excited too, especially because, you know, we've been in Hawaii several times, but never with the 2 other bands that we're going to be with, and that makes it a big party. You know, it's great to be with Vanilla Fudge and Big Brother and the Holding Company. You know, we play a lot of gigs together throughout the years, but never in Hawaii. So this is going to be great.
A real thrill for us, and we're very lucky to have you guys come in here. I want you to know a lot of people are really excited on all the islands, and I was curious what your personal history was with both of these groups, Vanilla Fudge and Big Brother.
Well, I mean, my personal history is that I like their music, and I admire their thing, and we are friends. You know, we compete with each other, but with like a friendly competition. We each have our own style. So like Canned Heat is more like a blues-oriented band. Vanilla Fudge is more like rock and roll-oriented, and Big Brother are more rhythm and blues-oriented. So we each do our thing, and then we're planning, by the way, a big jam after the show.
Nice.
So that's going to be nice. We're all going to get together there and jam the boogie, and as I said earlier, we have worked together many times on different occasions, but never in Hawaii, and we are all looking forward.
And how much material, Fito, is going to be from the Friends in the Can release, which is your latest?
Well, you know, it's basically the way we do our show is like we always play our hit records because that's what the people identifies with.
Sure.
And we want to sort of give them a recreation of a Canned Heat experience, you know, the experience of a show with a Canned Heat. So we play our hit records, and then we also introduce and push new material because we don't want to be known just as a nostalgia band or, you know, or a jukebox band, as I call them, you know, the bands that just go and repeat their hit records and don't do anything creative. We like to keep the challenge of introducing new music every year, so that's why we try to record 1 CD every year. And our latest is now featuring the current lineup, is Friends in the Can. And this lineup has been very powerful and very fruitful. You know, we've been working very much, and it's already 5 years together.
That's really cool. That's happening, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of the new songs at the show that I'll be attending, which is the Sunday night show here on Oahu. And I also want to give a quick plug to Living the Blues. That's your book, and certainly you have. I read off the list some of the impressive blues and early rock pioneers you've worked with. Give us a little preview of what's inside this book.
Well, the book is basically my story and my narration of my experience coming to the U.S. I was originally born in Mexico City, and I started playing at a very early age. And then I came to the U.S. when I was about 19 years old, and I encountered these fantastic musicians and outrageous characters of the Canned Heat band, and I joined. And basically the book tells you the whole story. I mean, it is a hard story. It is not for children, but it is a lot of fun. I mean, we've had a lot of great times and great fun and very intense moments. And then, of course, we've also had our share of tragedy and loss.
Yeah.
And that's
certainly
really what the book is about. And actually, there is some talk of making it into a movie.
Wow.
We are already negotiating on that. And We have already a couple of actors that are interested. One of them is Freddie Rodriguez. I'm not afraid of mentioning him. He's the star in 6 Feet Under, the series.
Yeah.
And he's also on The Dead President.
Wow.
And a few other movies, And so we have some people interested in the history of canned heat, and that's basically what my book is about. It's a history of a band and no punches pulled, It's a true history, not just elevation and saying, well, how great they were and all that, Unlike most biographies of musicians that I have read, we really went down and got down with the nitty-gritty and the dark side as well as the good side.
You got to dig in there and expose that if the book's going to have any meat.
That's right, and you're right there. It's like the people don't want to just see how great this band was or who do they play with and what shows did they play, etc. They want to know more like the inside story, the inside, the ghosts, the skeletons in the closet.
Yeah, the dirt. Yeah, I know all about it.
That's what my book really works on.
Yeah, that's how I make my show every day. I can relate to that. And you have an impressive tour schedule, Fito. By the way, information about the book, the releases, everything relating to Canned Heat can be found at cannedheatmusic.com. That's their official site, correct?
Yeah, that's our website, and we welcome anybody in your audience to visit and even leave a little message there. We have a bulletin board, and we have a guest book, everything there.
Very up-to-date site, cannedheatmusic.com. And I was checking out the tour schedule, and a lot of interesting dates on it. Of course, you're coming here, but you're also doing some gigs in August, I note, a festival gig with Jethro Tull and Manfred Mann.
Yes, we're doing some gigs in Europe, and as you can see on our website, we just came back from France.
Yeah.
And we just did 6 weeks in France, culminating with a Le Mans 24-hour race, which that was really one of those gigs that stand out,
Sure, you don't
just
forget
like
that.
Woodstock and Monterey Pop and all that. I love motorcycles, and it was a great experience for me to not only play there and be part of the scene there on the 24-hour motorcycle race, but be also on the race, and look at the guys racing there. It was quite something. It was about 100,000 people there, and we were delighted to close the French tour with our visit to the famous Le Mans race.
You're the man. That's huge. Thank you for sharing that with us, too. I also see a date you've got in France with Buddy Guy and Solomon Burke, and it leads me to your list of people you've worked with is so long, we'd have to do a series of interviews to really cover them all. But one of the characters on there that I just want to, if you could just share an experience with us of working with Little Richard. What was it like working with one of these pioneers?
It was wonderful. In I guess our fourth or fifth album, we wrote a song called Rocking with the King. And it was basically dedicated to him. And that's when the idea came to invite him to the session. And, we've always admired Little Richard. You have to see that Little Richard as an icon, as a pillar of popular music.
Absolutely.
And he claims to be the king of rock and roll. And sometimes I do think that he is the king of rock and roll. Of course, there are other kings.
Sure.
You can think of Elvis, etc.
He's a king.
Yeah, he's one of the kings of rock and roll for sure. Not only that, but if you listen, like we used to do, we were record collectors and all that. Bob Hyde, Alan Wilson, our founders. We used to research all these people that we admire, and Little Richard is really basically a blues singer. That's how he started. And some of his early stuff is very bluesy, and we always really admire him. I mean, those specialty records he did in the beginning, in the late 50s, I think is some of the best rock and roll in history. And that's why we started working with him. And one thing that was, you want to know something like special about us and him, that when Little Richard came and played with the Canned Heat, he always got more bluesy than usual, He wouldn't do his fast-paced songs and all that, and he would play something a little more sophisticated, which is something that, in general, people never got to see, because that was from his very early years when he did songs like Directly From My Heart to You and, stuff like before Tutti Frutti, before Long Tall Sally and all those songs. it was just fantastic to bring Richard and play with us. He performed with us at the Shrine Auditorium on New Year's Eve, 1969, I believe. And then we did a few gigs at the Troubadour here in Los Angeles. And whenever he was around, we would always invite him and treat him with the respect he deserved, you know. I mean, he's a wonderful performer that had a great influence on all of us.
No, he's a monster, and grateful for you to share that. He, like I said, you have a laundry list of impressive folks that you have worked with, and it's cool to get up close. And do you have tapes from any of his shows?
Some of them, we have some of it. Unfortunately, I don't think I recall having a tape of Little Richard with us, with the exception of that record we did together, you know, Rocking with the King.
Sure.
We have a couple of reissues, I would say issues, but from old tapes and old hidden outtakes that we never released before, and it's called the Boogie House tapes.
Yeah.
Okay, the Boogie House tapes, now we are about to release the Boogie House tapes number 2. And in those collections of old tapes and old outtakes, we occasionally put performances like that, like our performances with Clarence Gatemouth Brown, you know, and some others, you know, Wolfman Jack, you know, people like that. And we are also working on a DVD that probably by the end of the year will be finished, and it will have a lot of live performances with all these artists and with the original Canned Heat.
Well, I encourage folks to check out CannedHeatMusic.com, where they can get updates on all of it, and of course, a 3-date tour through the state, and you're going to be starting off on the Big Island, Kona Brewing Company, then on Saturday you hit Maui, and you're going to be at the Ritz-Carlton in Kapalua, and finally, it wraps up on Sunday at the Blaisdell here on Oahu in Honolulu. Tickets on sale for our show, Ticketmaster.com, and at the box office and Ticketmaster locations. Canned Heat drummer and legend Fito de la Parra, I really, really appreciate you taking some time to be on 105.9 The Big Kahuna with me.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your interest and the people's interest listening to your show, and I promise you they won't be disappointed. We are going to rock them.
Aloha, brother.
Aloha, brother. Hello, this is Fito de la Parra from Canned Heat, and we are all listening to Dave Lawrence. Aloha.